Welcome everyone to Friday Night Chats with Garage Geek. I hope everyone had a great week. I did. It's Friday and I have the next week off, so that is so cool. Of course, I have a couple appointments. One of them is I have to get my fingerprints done, even though I've done that for my job. They want my fingerprints for the foster care process, and it's my last thing that I have to do, and after that we will both be official foster parents. Of course, we will still have social worker visits and all that, but we are done with all the formalities, and it was a hard process to go through, let me tell you. So I'm glad that's done. Tonight, what do I have for you? I have books, mostly graphic novels, books, movies, shows, records, and some comic talk. So, excuse me, let me clear my throat there. Surprisingly, I don't have any novels, and that's because I took a week off from reading, not because of any reason, just for some reason this week as I was driving to school, I was maybe in a funk, and so I just listened to music. And when I would get home, I did read at night, but not enough to finish an entire book. And I was supposed to finish the third Han Solo book, and I just didn't. So, ooh, boo on me. So anyways, sorry, my throat. Where am I going to start? So let's start with a plug. So Tuesday, I am going to be on Hall Yeah Comics live stream discussing Black Hole by Charles Burns. Now, I'm only maybe a quarter into it, and I did that on purpose because I want to read it close to the show so that I will have it fresh in my mind when we discuss it. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be on with All Sorts of Words, and he's a great YouTuber. Love him. And of course, Halia is nifty too. So it should be a fun live stream. Hope you can join us for that. But it's on Halia's channel, and so I will try to leave a link below. Yeah, my throat. I finished reading Godzilla IDW Library Collection Volume 1. And I'm going to say that I really enjoyed this, but this is difficult for me because it's kind of childish. I mean, the stories are good. The art is really fine. I'm just not into Godzilla that much. I mean, most comics are infantile. Sorry, I'll probably get some hate for that. But so here's my dilemma. I really liked this. I really liked it a lot. But I don't know if it's something I'll ever read again. I might look through the art. It certainly had nice art and definitely had great cover art. And there were story arcs. And, the art was serviceable at worst and really good in other parts. There's a couple of Art Adams covers, and even there's a couple of connecting Art Adams covers that I would actually like to find and buy. But this is, like I was saying, this is probably something that I'm not going to read again. And so my dilemma is that I like these. They're really great. I enjoyed reading it. But do I want to keep collecting them? Because so far there are 3 volumes out. And there are more comics in the IDW library. I know there's a Star Trek series out. And so, yeah, I'm kind of torn. Like, what should I do? Should I buy these, read them once, keep them? Or is this something I should just not collect? Yeah, it's tough, right? Because I like owning physical media, but there comes a point where I just have too much. So, I don't know what to do about Godzilla. Let me know what you think in the comments. I also bought this. It had great reviews, and somebody, I forget where I saw this, it was really recommended. It's called Bolivian, and it's a children's book. I did not realize it was going to be so thick for a kid's book. And the reason I got it is because the people online were talking about what a good story it is, but it's got really nice art throughout. And because it's so thick, there's a ton of art throughout this entire thing. And so, now number one, I'm looking forward to reading this because people are saying the people that I saw online, they were talking about what a great story this is, and then how nice the art is, because there's a lot of detail in the art that you could just look at for a while. And so I'll probably be doing a review of this. I didn't know about this, but some people on YouTube are saying, oh, best comic of the year, or whatnot, and that always gets my attention because I'm a sucker. So I will be doing a review on this book, Bolivar, and I guess it's about a young kid who realizes that he or she is living, I think it's a she, is living, maybe it's a they, living next door to a dinosaur. More on that. I actually have a they issue coming up. All right. Now what am I doing? So I talked about Black Hole, so oh yeah, and then I talked about Godzilla. Okay, so I'm done with graphic novels. I guess the next thing I'll talk about are these books. I may have mentioned these. So I bought these 2 books for $18, I believe, on eBay, and I didn't realize how small they were. They're tiny, but you know what? I don't regret it. They're just gorgeous books. Look at them. They're both Sherlock Holmes, and they have, I think, the original illustrations. So I'm a sucker for that. Now these are in the public domain, so they're not expensive to own. But I don't know. Just even though they're small, I just thought these. What do you think? $18, was that a ripoff? Should I not have gotten them? You can buy Sherlock Holmes books so cheap. You go to any Barnes and Nobles, and there's a whole bunch of different versions because they're in the public domain, I think. But anyways, I liked that the hardbound, and that pretty books gets me every time. Okay, next let's talk about records. So Mark Morris sent me a cool gift. He sent me this Kiss album because I was drooling about it when he showed it off on his channel. He actually won a Kiss record in a contest, and I was talking about how I really like the cover, and I like older Kiss, and I only own one, and there's about 3 or 4 that I actually want to buy because of the really interesting covers. I really like this cover. It reminds me of the Queen cover. I don't know which came first. Most likely the Queen one. And they probably are not copying Queen. It's just that it reminds me of the Queen cover with the 4 faces, and they'll look good together. And so, yeah, I'm really glad to have this. I haven't opened it yet. The next one I think I want is either Love Gun or Dress to Kill, because I have Rock and Roll Over with that gorgeous cover. I don't have Love Gun with that gorgeous art where they're all 4 standing there and all the women are like crawling up their legs. And that one reminds me of a Frazetta, but I don't think it is. Not sure. But anyways, it's in that art vein. So once I have those 4 Kiss, that's all I need. I have them on CD, so I'm totally fine with that. But I just love this cover. So thank you, Mark Morris. Now, was this some kind of like subliminal message, Mark? What are you trying to tell me with that? You know what? This is all for my husband only. Okay, Mark? I hope you understand that. But anyways, I'm excited to have this in my collection. Thank you so much, Mark. That was cool. And by the way, I'm trying to get Mark Morris and Steve. Wait, I can't remember if I'm allowed to say his name because I think his name is Comic Progression. I don't know. His name is Stevie D. Sorry if I'm outing you or something. But I'm trying to get both of those guys to be on my show this week, a live stream, because I have the week off and I've got some time and I just want to chat with some friends. So, and I did a show recently with Donald Rex, which I will mention later. I'm going to take a sip. Okay. In addition to that, I went to buy some pizza because my husband wasn't feeling well. So he was like, hey, could you pick up some pizza for dinner for, all of us and the kids? So the Little Caesars was right across the street from Gimme Gimme Records, which is a record shop I go to. And I picked up 3 records. And one of them was a blind buy. I bought this Charles Erland and Odyssey, The Great Pyramid. I bought it just for that weird cover. And yeah, I mean, the problem is it was $10, but I'm thinking, well, it's probably going to be some kind of weird jazz or it's going to be good jazz. So either way, it will be a fun listen. So I bought it for that crazy cover. If you know this, let me know in the comments. I bought this Andre Previn in Hollywood. Now, I paid $5. These things are getting more and more expensive. I paid $4 too much, honestly. But I was in a hurry, and I was just like, so I ordered the pizza, and then I ran across the street, and I was only looking through the new bins, and I saw it, and I'm like, let me grab it. And then finally, I found this, which I thought was a steal, and that is Perfume Genius. No, what does that say? No shape. I'm a fan of Perfume Genius. I've seen him once, maybe twice. I think either once or twice. I can't remember. Yeah. A friend of mine is also a really big Perfume Genius fan, and I was so happy to find this copy of his album. It's actually a double album, and it was only $15. So, yeah. Perfume Genius got in trouble because basically he's too gay, and he was on shows and he made a song. I forget what the controversy was. And then he wrote a response to it. And it was like, I'm not safe for the family. Like the lyrics go like, yeah. Anyways, it was a funny controversy at the time. And I was laughing in the videos. He's definitely different. He's like, if you listen to him, you have to get used to him. But once you start, you really, really like him because his voice is so interesting, so quirky. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the movies. So I actually watched some of my Indicator movies, and this is dangerous because Indicators have spine numbers. Do you see those? And I was going back and I was like, oh my gosh, I have them lined up over here. I'm like, I have number 7, I have number 11. I need 1 through 10. So I need 1 through 6, and I need 8 and 9. And then I'll have 1 through 11. I mean, that's how dangerous I am. It's like, I don't just want the movies that I like. I want them all. And so they're having a 3 for £20 sale. And it turns out like one movie is $11 and then the other 2 are $5.50. So you're basically with the, you're going to pay shipping. It ends up to be about $10 a movie, which is a little bit pricey for me, but they're coming from England, and every one of these movies have so many extras, so many cool features on them. So I started out the week, I had this in my player, and I started playing some of the special features. But then I took it out because I wanted to watch The Stranglers of Bombay. And man, I'd never heard of this movie, and man, am I glad I watched this. This movie was so much fun. And all of the commentary, I didn't finish it all, because I'll be honest with you, the commentary on this was hilariously bad. They got a guy who wrote the actual screenplay. And he even says, like, right at the beginning, oh, I haven't watched this movie since it came out like 41 years ago or something. And he just sits there for like long stretches of time and he doesn't say anything. He's like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's probably the worst commentary I've ever heard. I was just sitting there. I started doing other stuff while I was, listening to it. And I was just like, what the heck? But he did have some interesting stories, but I turned it off in the middle. I was like, I don't know. I will go back and finish it at some point. But I mean, when he told the story, it was really interesting, but there was a lot of gap time. Now, all of these movies are Hammer films. Hammer films look gorgeous. In fact, I have some pictures. Oh, I don't think I ported them over from my phone. Crap. Oh, and they're on my phone, which is what I'm recording from. That sucks. Shoot. I took screenshots of the movies, and then I took a screenshot of when I was watching the movie of something from the Terror of the Tongs, because the whole basically the set was gorgeous, and I wanted to show it off. But anyways, The Stranglers of Bombay was kind of a departure for Hammer Films because it was based on a true story, and they did it in black and white, and they were known for their color. And in fact, one of the commentators in one of the videos, he was saying, like, Hammer would actually submit their movies in black and white because they knew that the color would raise them from like in the United States from like a PG-13 to an R, or an R to an X, or something like that, because the color of all the blood is what made their movies so gruesome. It was the garishness of it. And so this was a risk for them because they made a movie in black and white, but there was so much violence in this movie. And in fact, there's a UK version and a US version, and they have things cut out for different reasons. And then on this, they have both the UK, the US, and then they have the integrated version, which has everything, which is really cool. But surprisingly, so there were a lot of cuts because of sex, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, and violence. And surprisingly enough, in the United States, we actually cut the sex parts because there's one woman in this movie, and she's got these heaving bosoms. You If you like heaving bosoms, you're gonna see a great pair in this, because she's supposed to represent the goddess Kali, who is in charge of this. Who's the worshiper. The worshippers all worship that goddess, and she's like the embodiment of Kali, and she's sitting there, and every time they torture somebody, she's like, oh, and her acting is better than that, but basically that's what she does, and she's like this, and her breasts heave. And the United States, they cut that out for some strange reason. Now, there's a lot of violence. They're like poking people's eyes out and cutting people and branding. There was a lot of violence in this movie. There was also a controversial scene where there's a mongoose that has to fight a cobra. And they actually put a sheet of glass in between the... Oh, no. Yeah. So first, the cobra is coming up on the guy, and he's staked to the ground. And they actually have a sheet of glass. You can't see it in the movie because, to protect the actor. And then the mongoose comes and fights the cobra. And supposedly they used stock footage because they actually kill the cobra in the movie. And there's a danger of the mongoose actually being killed by the cobra. And but what they did was they actually got that from a documentary, and it's fit seamlessly in the movie. So it is animal cruelty, but they actually didn't do it in the movie, right? So it's from a documentary, which I guess, but that was a very contentious scene because of the animal cruelty. This movie is kind of crazy. In the end, it's a really fun movie. I'm not going to say it's the best movie I ever watched, but for not having known anything about this movie, man, am I going to recommend it. It is so fun. Oh, I do have to warn you that I am going to talk about this one. They're both racist. Okay, they're products of their time. And so, you're not going to watch an old horror movie like this and not expect some racism. I'm just saying, I really enjoyed these movies, even though they're racist, which is bad. Okay, that brings us to The Terror of the Tongs. Now, I haven't finished all of the special features yet, but this is Christopher Lee done up in like Fu Manchu makeup. He did Fu Manchu in another movie earlier. And so I think Hammer was kind of on the outs with these at this time, and they were trying to bring back the same writers, the same actors, and everything to recreate some of their past glory. And so they brought in Christopher Lee, the writers, the musicians. Oh, and by the way, on both of these, there's a historian who does who talks and breaks down the score. They're really pretty fascinating, and he talks about how the score incorporates the yellow peril and like the Orientalism, and it's the same person who does the score. It's pretty interesting. Like the extras on these are pretty cool. So Terror of the Tongs, this was a lot of fun. Again, you're gonna have a lot of violence, a lot of, you know what, I'm going to get a cough drop because this is just getting crazy. You're going to have a lot of violence. It's Hammer. You're going to, you know, it is what it is. It's a Hammer horror movie. And there's a, you know, the whole cast, it takes place in China. And like, you know, they're all like British people done up as Chinese people. I mean, it's a product of his time. I'm not saying that's good, but man, did I enjoy the movie. It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I watched these. And so Indicator Films is just killing it. That's kind of why I want the rest in the series, because there are a lot of gems. These are, I just watch movies. I don't know a lot about them. I just watch them and then I discover them. And I'm so glad that I'm discovering these Hammer movies because they're so cool. So now I want the entire Indicator collection. Next, we watched the show Teacup. So I want to show you that. Teacup is on Peacock, I believe. So it's playing. Why is it doing that? It's not a video. So Teacup is basically a family drama where this family and their neighbors get stuck in an invisible dome. So this has a lot of ideas of other shows. And it's an 8-episode show that starts off with a lot of mystery. Along the way, there are answers that are given that aren't always satisfactory, that lead to more mystery. And by the end, you just have a cliffhanger and not a lot is resolved, but you're moving from one stage to the other. I've seen this show so many other times in so many different incarnations. But having said that, I enjoyed it. This could have easily been a 6-episode show. There's a lot of talkiness. But again, I didn't mind because it was fun. I don't mind a little bit of a lag in these type of shows. But yeah, I'm not gonna give this 5 stars. I would give the show about 3.5, and I hope that with the next season, if it's renewed, that it would get better, right? And I enjoyed this show. So 3.5, but it is a missable show. If you like this genre of shows, you should definitely watch it. And finally, we watched Deadpool Wolverine, which is on Max. And I mean, what can you say? There's one more movie I have to discuss. This movie was a lot of fun. Like by the end, I was tired of it, but along the way, it is really, really funny. And yes, it's ultra violent, and yes, there's a ton of swearing, but that's what you would expect from a movie, from a Deadpool movie, because you've seen the other two, and you know how violent and how much they swear. This movie has so much going for it because of the introduction of Hugh Jackman. He holds his own with Wolverine, and it's just a lot of fun. The beginning is hilarious. There's so many Easter eggs. If you read the comics, as a kid, and you grew up with X-Men and went into the 90s, you're going to see so many Easter eggs in this movie, and that's a lot of fun. And I think the creators of these movies know how nostalgic people are, because there's a scene in this movie where they bring all these characters from all these different shows and movies. And it really gets the audience going because it's so cool. Now, if you didn't watch any of those shows or movies, you wouldn't really care much. But for the uber fan of these superhero shows and movies, that's really going to tickle your fancy. I'm going to say, you shouldn't miss this. If you have HBO Max, you absolutely should not miss this movie. Is it absolutely essential viewing? No, it's a Deadpool Wolverine movie, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And I was laughing my butt off in some places, and just all the Easter eggs was so much fun. And the final movie that I watched was Tuesday. Now, a fellow YouTuber I know, Mr. E, he said that he watched the trailer and he was really impressed by it. and he started talking to me about it. I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and watch it. So I started watching it, and immediately it was an A24 movie. I was like, oh, how cool. So this is basically two actresses. Well, there's actually three. There's two main actresses, and they're just acting their butts off in this movie, and they both do a great job. I don't want to spoil it, but there is a giant parrot in this movie, and some people would find this movie very, very sappy because of the subject matter. But I was kind of enchanted with this movie, and I really, really liked it from beginning to end because the actresses poured their hearts out in this movie. They did such a great job. And this is not a new story. And I've seen this kind of story before, but the way that they did it was interesting and fun. And so I'm not going to spoil it. I recommend that if you are interested in anything I said, you go ahead and watch this. If you're a person who isn't into the sappy or maudlin, give it a miss. But if you like romantic comedies, but you also don't mind some interesting movies where the acting is good, and you're going to be on a little bit of a journey for the movie, then you should not give Tuesday a miss. And I'm going to say thank you to Mr. E for discussing this movie with me because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the last thing I guess I want to talk about is I Donald Rex and I did a show, and it was a lot of fun. And I owe him some money because I told him I would pay half for the comics that we showed off, and I actually sent him the money already, but the transaction wasn't working very well for a particular reason. So now I have to send him a check. So I'm going to send him a check. No biggie. I'm not going to rip him off. But he was like, oh, there's a Golden Age show on Whatnot. And he was trying to get in and he couldn't get his credit card to work. I was like, you know what? Let me go on the show, and if there's anything that you want, I'll get it for you. Boop, boop, boop. So I go into the show and I start bidding, and right off the bat, I knew these were heavy hitters. And I mean, these were Golden Age comics, and they were worth a lot of money. People were bidding 40, 50, 100, 150. I saw comics going for a lot. And so at one point I finally got a comic for $10, right? It was something that I don't think was worth $10 because I've got like 4 or 5 of the other ones, and I paid 2 or 3 for it. But that was probably because I was lucky. So I got the comic for $10, and I was like, oh, this isn't good because now that I bought a comic for $10, I have to pay $5 shipping. And so the next comic I would buy, I have to pay $3 shipping. And then after that, so you're going to pay $8 to $10 in shipping. And so I did win another comic, but after that, like, I couldn't get any of them. And I was like, I was writing him, yeah, this was a waste because we got 2 comics and they were decent comics, but we overpaid because of shipping. And so we were going back and forth, and we were talking, well, at least it's a story to tell. But I knew from the beginning, like, I was like, this is not, like, I would never have stayed in that room because I could see right off the bat that those people were there for those comics from the beginning. Now, what normally happens with me on Whatnot is if I can get into a room right at the beginning and they're going with good comics, I can usually get a bunch before other people come in, and then those people start outbidding me. So it's usually a matter of luck, right? And so it wasn't that way with this room. And so we were actually hoping that, the people wouldn't know about it or they'd come in late, but that wasn't the case. So we kind of just wasted our time on that one. Time and money. So I think that I've covered everything. I'm so excited. Because I have the week off, if I didn't say that already. And my husband and I are going to see Cyndi Lauper tomorrow, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We've seen her about 4 or 5 times. He loves her. I really like her too because I'm like always surprised at how good a voice she has. Like, she can really, really sing. And, she's known for these, silly pop songs, but when she actually gets on stage, she can really, really sing. So I'm looking forward to that concert tomorrow. That will be fun. And then, of course, on Monday, I have to go for my fingerprinting thing, so that'll be fun. And I want to again thank Mark Morris for the kiss that he sent me. The kiss. And then I don't know. This is a really, really short one. It's only 30 minutes. But I think that's all I have to say, because I didn't read any books this week. But as always, I love the comments, and I want to thank you all for your support. So since this is really, really short, I need to challenge you to write a lot of comments to me